Here we are again. Welcome back to Mostly Arsenal. In my last Topical Storm video, I spoke a lot about legends and what it takes to be classed as one. And it got me thinking, I ranted on a fair bit, but there's an awful lot that I didn't say that could be spoken about. And I thought to myself, do you know what? This could easily be a series that could go on for quite a long time. So I've decided to start a new series on it. Now, there'll be times where I do, like I'm doing tonight, where I just do a video of me talking at length about somebody who I class to be a particular legend. There'll be times where I invite guests on and get them to have their say, because it seems like there's quite a few people that do want to get involved in this. So that's really, really good. Before we get into it, if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified whenever one of these comes up again. But without further ado, let's get into episode 1 of the Legend series, and the first topic that I'm going to speak about in this series is a man by the name of Ian Edward Wright MBE. Now, it's going to come in maybe 3 sections. I want to talk about what he did at Arsenal that makes me class him as an Arsenal legend, but I'm also going to talk about his life away from football. Now, this is not to detract from his footballing achievements, but I think his life away from football, both before and after, are things that really, really need to be discussed. There's a conversation that needs to be had, because especially the life he had before football, this really puts into context what an amazing person he is and how he's managed to have a ridiculously successful career after, let's just say, the hand that life dealt him as a young man was not especially brilliant. But we'll get into all that. Firstly, what I want to talk about is his playing career. Now, he didn't turn pro till relatively late. It was about 3 months before his 22nd birthday, which, you know, is when you look at players like Wayne Rooney, for example, it's a late start. It's like 5 years after, and he had an awful lot of rejections before that. Clubs like Millwall, Brighton, you know, they knocked him back, and he was at a point where he was going to jack it all in. And then Crystal Palace spotted him playing non-league, offered him a contract. He managed to bag a couple of goals in the FA Cup final against Man U as a substitute, and then he moved to Arsenal. But his career in whole, it spanned over 15 years, 1985 to 2000. And in 1991, he signed for us. He had 7 years with us. Over his whole career, right, to be classed as a prolific goal scorer, the benchmark is goal every other game. Now, over his entire career, 626 games, he was averaging 0.51 goals a game. So that's just above a goal every other game. That's spanning 3 decades, and he managed to keep that record for 15 years. Now, the 7 years he spent at Arsenal, you know, everyone's quite familiar with the numbers. 288 games, 185 goals. He broke Cliff Bastin's 50-year Arsenal goal scoring record, and in his time at Arsenal, he was averaging 0.64 goals a game, which is, you know, just above a goal every other game. Now, when I spoke about legends in the last video, the 3 main characteristics that I think describe someone as a legend, even though it's entirely subjective, and no one really fucking knows what you got to be classed as a legend, but as far as I'm concerned, it's longevity, achievement, and conduct. Now, longevity is definitely there. I've just explained the numbers. You know, if he'd have been spotted by a club sooner, he probably would have had a 20-year career and a lot more goals. So the longevity is there. The achievements are there. Looking at just at Arsenal for the 7 seasons, 1 league title, 2 FA Cups, 1 League Cup, 1 Cup Winners' Cup, a Golden Boot. Now, let's not forget, when he won that Golden Boot, 2 other players who were playing as strikers in the Premier League at the time, or in Division 1 as it was, Alan Shearer Gary Lineker. Weirdly enough, all three of them do a lot of work together now. But to win a golden boot when you've got those people in competition with you is phenomenal. 33 caps for England. He was incredibly unfortunate not to play in the European Championships in 92 and 96. He would have been at the World Cup in 98, but a last minute injury ruled him out of that. So he was very, very unlucky from those points of view. So there's your achievements. Now, conduct. It depends what perspective you look at it from. From my point of view as a gooner, he always left everything on the pitch. I cannot remember ever watching Ian Wright play for Arsenal and thinking, Ian really put shift in there. He gave it absolutely everything. Now, the other perspective you could look at it from is maybe players like Peter Schmeichel and Steve McMahon. They would argue that he didn't conduct himself in a very good way. I think it was 52 yellows and 2 reds in his time at Arsenal. But as we'll find out later with the other things that I want to mention, there were certain anger issues that he played with. But like I said, as far as I'm concerned, the conduct as an Arsenal player, absolutely exemplary. He gave it absolutely everything. That's exactly what I want to see from anybody that wears our shirt. That's kind of it from the football point of view. Now, like I said, I don't want to detract from his footballing achievements, but the other stuff does need to be mentioned. His upbringing was frankly awful. Now, Ian Wright resonates with me for many reasons. The main ones are he's an emotional bloke, as am I, and you look at Ian Wright now, he just wants to do good, he just wants to help people, and I'm a bit like that. But that's where the parallels stop. The rest of it, the footballing talent, obviously, there's no fucking conversation to be had there. You look at his upbringing. Now, I was really lucky with my upbringing. He was not. As I said earlier, the hand that life dealt him as a young man was very, very tough and very, very cruel. His parents were not especially well off. In fact, his dad left the family when he was only 18 months old. There was one story where he was waiting for his dad one day later on. I think he was a teenager, and there were no mobile phones or anything. His dad was supposed to be meeting him to take him for a pair of trousers so he could go out for the day with the other kids from the estate the next day. Now, he sat on his pillow waiting for his dad at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and his dad didn't turn up until I think about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he literally sat there all day. But that's not the worst thing that happened to him. Now, his mum got with his stepdad when he was very young. I think about 4 or 5, and as a young man, he had to witness lots of physical domestic abuse towards his mum. He himself was a victim of a lot of emotional and psychological abuse, whether it be from when he was about 9. His mum said to him that she wishes that she'd had a termination when she was pregnant with him. That was not the only time she said this to him, apparently. Now, for a child to hear stuff like that leaves a lasting impression. It's left a lasting impression on him, which I'll get to towards the end of this video. Also, Match of the Day was his favourite programme. It was the one thing that he wanted to watch all week long. And when the music came on, he used to get super excited about it. And then his stepdad would make him face the wall. So he would have to listen knowing that it was on, but not be allowed to watch it. These things, the Match of the Day and the things his mum said, that is clinically classified as emotional and psychological abuse. Now, when you consider he went through all this, he had 2 weeks in prison for not being able to pay motoring fines, and the rejection after rejection after rejection from lots and lots of football clubs. The fact that he actually made it in the end and changed his stars is testament to the guy's resilience. If anybody wants a closer look at him as a younger man, and you haven't seen these documentaries, I absolutely implore you to watch From Broccoli to the Big Time, which you can easily find on YouTube, and also Home Truths on BBC iPlayer. Now, From Broccoli to the Big Time concentrates on his younger life, his relationship with David Rocastle, and there's an absolutely just spellbinding bit where his old school teacher, Mr. Pigden, surprises him at Highbury, and Ian thought Mr. Pigden passed away. And Mr. Pigden was basically the first positive male influence in Wrighty's life. And Wrighty's reaction when he sees Mr. Pigden is like, anyone who watches that, don't cry. There's something fucking wrong with you. And the other one, Home Truths, is quite a recent documentary where he visits people who've been involved in domestic abuse, physical, psychological, emotional, whether they be the child, the perpetrator, or the direct victim. And it's a really difficult watch. I was going to record this last night, but I'd only watched this in bits because I found it really difficult to watch. But I wanted to research this as much as possible. I really want to do this justice, because I think speaking about this guy is really, really important. It's really important for me, but it's also important for anyone who gets to watch this who isn't aware of all this. You need to know these things, because this guy, as far as I'm concerned, he's up there with the biggest of the legends, and I just want everyone to know about what he went through. So yeah, watch those two documentaries, definitely. And then we come to his life after football. Now, this guy, he's a published author. He was awarded an MBE by the Queen for his services to football. He's done a lot of TV work. He's literally one of the elite pundits in football now, and it's not one of these biased ones. Like, people I like to watch is people like him. I like watching Roy Keane. I like watching Michael Richards. These people are next level, really, really next level. Now, Ian Wright is at a point now where he's transcended the sport that made him famous and successful because of the things that he's doing now. He's an advocate for helping, like I said, people who've been the victims of or witnessed domestic violence, kids who have disadvantaged upbringings, kids who've been victims of emotional and psychological abuse, kids who have been involved in or could very easily become involved in gang culture and knife crime through the No More Red campaign that Arsenal and Adidas did with him and Idris Elba. So he's constantly trying to help these younger people and give them a chance, because he's seen how easy it would have been for him to have gone the wrong way. And he says it himself, thanks to God himself, he came through, and he's come from abject poverty to having a very nice life now, nice family life, being a good family man. He's the head of a footballing dynasty. His sons, his grandson, professional footballers. One of his sons, Sean Wright Phillips, Wright adopted him when he was 22, and Sean was about 18 months. This is a measure of bloke for a 22-year-old guy to adopt a child. That's a real measure of the man. So he's transcended his sport, but he also transcends generations. As I've just said, he does an awful lot to help the younger generation, but he's also helping older generations. He's a role model, particularly to me. I've spoke quite openly about, my own demons, my battles with anxiety and depression, and he suffers with this. He had anger issues, which explains a lot why he played the way he did, and it's only just now he's opening up to this. And when you watch Home Truths, the fact that he did this anyway, but also with a camera in his face, and you could see how painful and hard it was to dig up these memories and to face up to these demons. But he's still doing it now. He's 58 years old, and he is as much, if not more, of a role model to me now than he was when I was 18 years old, when he signed for Arsenal. I was lucky enough to see him score 2 amazing goals in the FA Cup final and the replay against Sheffield Wednesday, and the geezer just lit the place up. And for me, he's an absolute legend. I really hope I've done him justice with the things that I've said now, but he is genuinely a role model, and he makes me want to face up to my stuff a lot more than I have done. So for that, I can only thank him, really. I know he's a big fan of the show, so he'll get to see this. Joking. I might tag him in it though, see if he does watch it. But the guy's an absolute legend. I just need to kind of pay homage to him. Like, kids who are raised in this sort of environment, they will either repeat the cycle or they will break the cycle. Now, he's clearly broken the cycle, and I want to just kind of end with two quotes. The first one is from Ian himself off his website, and he says, I quote, I could moan about a tough start, but look where I am now. And that's the guy. He's playing down all his success and everything that he's still doing to help people. And the next quote is it's actually one from me. And the next quote I want to hear said about this guy is, "Arise, Sir Ian." I honestly think he's so deserving of this title, and I'd absolutely love to see it happen. So, your Madge, make it happen. Now, like I said at the start, if you like this content, it'd be great if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. It all helps. But that's about it from me. So I'll see you next time.